Hey guys, what's up? Nikki I is online, and once again I have a puppy behind me. She's laying on the blankets. I guess she's cold. I mean, it is kind of cold outside, so I get it. She's curled up, you know, being her best puppy self.
Hi, yes, I do love you. Really do.
Anyways, okay, so today, today we're gonna talk about Grammy culture, because you know the Grammys are on Sunday and everyone's getting hyped up for that. And we're also gonna talk about how stan culture on the internet has kind of like affected the Grammys, like specifically the Grammys, and just like music culture as a whole, because with Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift both rejecting the Grammys and both flat out saying,
no, I'm not going to be your opening act. I'm not going to be used for clout, for publicity, for this, for that, the other thing.
Taylor hasn't came forward and like talked about what she like why she rejected the Grammys, but I feel like it's pretty obvious with only one nomination for Reputation, and it's not even in a Big Four category, that it's valid. And then Ariana has come out and she's talked about how the reason she rejected opening the Grammys was because of they're not letting her perform three songs now. It originally was 7 rings, but now it's 3 songs of her choice that she pitched to them, and they rejected them all. And that is kind of like, people have mixed opinions about her being valid for doing that. Like,
was she just being a snotty rich girl, or is she just, you know, like valid for feeling like the Grammys kind of are putting her in a weird place?
By forcing her to perform songs that she doesn't want to perform. So, kind of, you know, interesting things going on there. But with those two, because those two are pretty much, I could pretty much guarantee that, like, whether I like Ariana or not, whether I like Taylor or not,
as y'all know, I love Taylor.
those two are pretty much the biggest pop girlies, as Stan Twitter likes to call them, going right now. Like, I'm sure once Miley Cyrus releases music, Selena Gomez releases music,
Oh my God, who even else?
Demi Lovato releases music, Katy Perry releases music, again, they'll hop back on those trains. But like, even compared to Gaga, who has way more nominations than Ariana is bigger currently. So what I'm saying by saying Taylor and Ariana are the 2 biggest pop girlies is like, it's not about like the nominations, it's just about like where they are in internet culture, which kind of just brings me to this whole point of like, do the Grammys even matter as much, or how will the Grammys have to evolve to stay as like this top-notch, every artist dreams of having a Grammy one day type award show, when internet culture makes it really easy for it to become like irrelevant or canceled, or I don't even know other terms that I could use for it off the top of my head. But in order for me to like really dig into this, I kind of want to explain the history of the Recording Academy, and like, who is the Recording Academy and what do you have to do to be part of the Grammys, or part of the Recording Academy, and how you are able to be eligible for Grammys, because I had to look this up myself because I released an album this year,
As I say in every single video I make,
and I was not eligible to attempt to be part of the Recording Academy, and I was not able to submit my album for the Grammys, which, I mean, I highly doubt I would be nominated anyways, just because no one knows who I am, but, you know.
still would have been nice to try.
But, yeah, first and foremost, who are the Recording Academy. The Recording Academy is it's almost like a club. That's probably the easiest, most simplified version of it.
Like, really dumbed down, it's a club.
Of singers, songwriters, producers, mixers, masters.
Masteringers? Yeah, people who master music.
Recording engineers.
I think mixing, mastering, and producing all fall under recording engineers. Okay.
And I think other music people can be involved as well, but the biggest three categories are singers, songwriters, and recording engineers. In the Recording Academy, it's mainly located in, I think, Santa Monica, California, not LA, but it's in California is where their headquarters is, but they have chapters throughout the main places where there's music. They have chapters in LA, Nashville, New York, and I think there's one in like Texas, but I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that I would technically be part of the LA chapter just based on where I live. But yeah, so they have like these little sub centers where you can go, and the Recording Academy is pretty cool because they not only do they offer opportunities for the Grammys, which is like their most known thing, but they also run an organization which I think is either Music Cares or Grammy Cares. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but it's a charity that is that helps not only fund music for underprivileged children, but I think they also do music in schools. That's their other big thing. So Recording Academy, it's not all about the accolades. There's some good things in there too. They also have a camp for kids that are like, I think 10 to 18.
I looked some stuff up for this video, but this was not something I looked up because I totally forgot about this until right now.
Taylor Swift and Britney Spears both went to Grammy camp.
And my mom wanted to send me to Grammy camp, but alas, now I'm too old and we couldn't afford it at the time.
So, what are the Grammys? The Grammys, okay, so the Recording Academy was founded in 1957 with the Grammy Awards coming shortly after. The Grammys are the music version of the Oscars. They are the awards in which peers within the Recording Academy nominate and vote for their fellow Recording Academy colleagues, there we go, that's what I'm looking for, that get awarded for, you know, best in their group, essentially. Like, think about it like senior superlatives, but every year that you do something, you're nominated for one. Well, you have the opportunity to be nominated. So think about it like as like senior superlatives or like paper plate awards, but like on a larger scale for rich people in the music industry. The Grammys are one of the only awards going currently that are not fan voted. It is still solely peer voted, which means you have to be part of the Recording Academy to join. So, how do you become part of the Recording Academy? It's actually pretty easy. If you're a musician or a producer, you have to have either 6 songs available for physical release or 12 songs available via album distributors or online distributors. Something along those lines. Distributors, which are Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, etc., etc., etc. Was I eligible? Could have been if I released Puppeteer physically. I did not release Puppeteer physically because I don't have the physical distribution contacts. I'm sure I could have figured out how to get my music distributed in Walmart, Target, etc., 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 and that would have helped a lot, but I just stuck with online distribution for now, like Spotify, Apple Music. I'm on Bandcamp, but that doesn't really matter. So they make it they purposely make it so you will have to have more tracks out online because of how easy it is to release it online. Because, for example, there are a bunch of different distributors. There's CD Baby, which is the one I use. There's TuneCore. There's DiscoKid, I think.
Can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
But yeah, just those 3 alone. CD Baby is you pay a one-time fee, and then they take 9% of all royalties you get from iTunes, Spotify. TuneCore, it's a $20 fee per album every year that it's on there. The point is, you're paying $20 to $70, well, $20 a year or $70 one-time fee for your music to be released online. That makes it really easy for people to just release music. And it can be anything. It could be recorded at home. It could be a demo that you make on your iPhone and then you post it and you pay the $70 or you pay the $15 as a single for CD Baby, and then there you go. You have a single. So pretty easy to do that. I guess I understand that, but it's still, to me, that is still kind of a form of elitism, just to like have those be different because of like difficulty. So you either have to have the 6 tracks or the 12 tracks, depending on if you're doing physical or online distribution, and then you have to pay $100 a year. And that's it. That's all you really gotta do to be part of the Recording Academy. And thus, by doing that, you get access to special events, special networking stuff. That's all you really have to do to be part of the Recording Academy, to gain access into all that awesome stuff. Wow. Is it worth it? With the way everything is going with stan culture, is it worth it to be part of the Recording Academy? Is it worth it to like pay that $100 a year? It's really hard to like actually tell. I guess this is kind of up for you to decide at this point, because here's kind of what I've learned recently. With the way the Grammys have nominated, and with the Ariana Taylor kind of exposing them, and then if you remember, Lorde last year she was the only female nominee for Album of the Year, and she was the only Album of the Year nominee that didn't have the option to perform any of her own music. She was offered a spot in the Tom Petty medley, and that's all she was offered. But then also, when responding to how Kesha, and I think it was Gaga, were both up against Ed Sheeran for Best Pop Vocal Song or Album, one of the two, of the year last year, here's what President Neil Portnow said about #GRAMMYS So Male. It has to begin with women who have creativity in their hearts and souls, who want to be musicians, who want to be engineers, producers, who want to be part of the industry on an executive level. They need to step up, because I think they would be welcome. I don't have personal experience of those kind of brick walls that you face, but I think it's upon us as an industry to make the welcome mat very obvious, breeding opportunities for all people who want to be creative and paying it forward and creating the next generation of artists. So I guess reading that in context, I haven't read it in context for a while, but I just remember being really angry about it, kind of makes sense, because like I get his intent was like,
Hey, we as a generation need to make room for more women producers, women this, women that.
Because women producers, there's so few women producers in this country that it is not even a statistic that is like talked about. Like, that's how low it is. That's a whole nother issue that I could talk about on a different day. But the thing that like really sparked people was women need to step up. We had Kesha, we had Gaga, we had oh my god, who else did we have that year? I think we had Rihanna have a new album come out.
I can't remember 2017 at all.
I think Demi Lovato had an album come out during that cycle as well. We had a lot of women release music that cycle, and very few were recognized for what they were. So why would women need to step up more if they're already creating this art? Let's take this year's nominees, for example. They're pretty diverse. There's a lot in the R&B category and the hip-hop category that are like in the album and record and song of the year. And that's cool, that's fine. There's a few unknown ones that make me question, are they label plants or are they just, you know, like, because I'm like, indie artists need to be recognized, and the fact that I don't recognize them might be the answers to my manifesting, because maybe they are indie artists that I just don't know of. And maybe they're not label plants, you know? But also you gotta consider, are they label plants? The fact that that guy is in charge of the Grammys, in charge of this exclusive, elite, pure, controlled group that it is your goal as an artist to strive to be part of, is a little concerning as a woman who wants to be part of the Recording Academy and wants to be an active member in the music industry. It's a little concerning, wouldn't you think? Here's why it's kind of like, should I even want to be part of it anymore? The Recording Academy and the Grammys came around in 1957.
I think I said that earlier.
Before 1973, between 1957 and 1973, the Grammys were the only type of major accolade an artist could win. And it was like the biggest deal to win a Grammy from that time to that time, because it was like, it's the award. However, in 1973, Dick Clark,
Which I'm sure you guys recognize his name from the New Year's Eve show,
created the American Music Awards. And he specifically created the American Music Awards to compete with the Grammy Awards.
which I did not know that until I was like looking, because I was looking for this information. I was like, I want to know what came first. So I was like looking up all these awards.
And isn't it interesting that now the American Music Awards have a voted section? I can't remember if it's all fan voted at this point or if it's just a section that's fan voted, but there's a lot of fan voting involved, which is kind of competes with the People's Choice Awards, which came after the AMAs by 2 years. So here's where Stan Twitter comes into play. Stan Twitter is basically, and I'm picking on Twitter specifically, I'm sorry guys, because there are pockets of Stan culture on Tumblr, there's Stan culture on Facebook, there's Stan culture on Instagram, but I'm mainly picking on Twitter because that's where award shows and, you know, people look. Like, you very rarely see BuzzFeed write articles and quote or embed Tumblr posts in them, except for when they're talking about Taylor Swift most of the time. Most people use Twitter to embed, so I'm picking on Twitter. I'm sorry, guys. And Stan Twitter kind of like decides what's popular, what's canceled, what's not, and it's not that they're the ultimate decision, because at the end of the day, there are people who aren't on Twitter that buy the records, listen to the radio, go to the tour. It's interesting. I was talking to a friend and they were like,
Stan Twitter does not result in people buying the tickets to your shows.
because most of them are like 13 to 17, with the majority of Stan Twitter being 13 to 17, that 17 and 16 and 17, they're gonna buy tickets, they have money to buy tickets, they have cars, but like, just because you really like an artist doesn't mean that your parents are gonna buy the $300 tickets to see Taylor. Like, Stan Twitter does not result in actual ticket sales. It doesn't necessarily mean that money's ending up in your pockets. So of course, in order to try to market to Stan Twitter, these award shows have to pull them in. They have to advertise using the stuff that they want. They have to include the artists that they're gonna stan, that they're standing right now. Who are the pop girlies? Notice that.
See, I'm doing like finger stuff. I feel like an ASM artist.
Notice how, like, for example, Camila Cabello
Mixed feelings on her.
only got nominated for Best Pop Song and Pop Album. She did not get nominated for Album of the Year, but she's also getting nominated as Artist of the Year and Best New Artist, and you know, her album's getting all these nominations for iHeart. She got nominated.
I think, did she get nominated for Billboard last year? I think she's gonna get nominated for Billboard this year. I don't know, Billboard was weird. Their cutoff dates were weird.
You know, like, if you notice who the Grammys pick versus who these People's Choice Awards, AMAs, all these other awards are very similar, but the Grammys are different. However, while the Grammys might be becoming irrelevant in terms of, like, they're not marketing to the right types of people, Stan Twitter, weirdly enough, uses Grammys to judge the worth of other artists. Like, for example, if your fave is Taylor, she has 10 Grammys, which is great. Selena Gomez doesn't have any, I don't think. I'm gonna check and make sure, because I want to be, that's something I want to be clear on, because I feel like if I say she doesn't have any, and then Stan Twitter comes at me and they're like,
Selena has like 3 Grammys, what are you talking about?
oh, she's never even been nominated for a Grammy. Oh, that's sad. For example, Taylor has 10 Grammys and Selena hasn't even been nominated for a Grammy. So, hypothetically, let's just say these two had beef for whatever reason. They were fighting each other.
Because they're like best friends.
They'd be like, oh, Selena just released a new song and she just had 2 million streams on Spotify. And here comes some Swiftie. They'd be like,
Oh, but how many Grammys does Selena have? None. How many does Taylor have? 10.
Stan Twitter has this, like, fake wokeness and fake intelligence about music industry where they only care about certain statistics, but they don't actually research enough to, like, really, like, understand what they all mean, where they all come from. And it's like, yeah, we want to celebrate artists' successes, and if it's like, oh, that's a great number, oh, that's a record, we want to celebrate that. We don't have to compare that, because especially because it's like, it doesn't even really matter with the Grammys being as messy as they are. Does it really even matter if they have a Grammy? Do I even want to win a Grammy at this point?
Yes, I do. If the Grammys feel attacked, I'm sorry. But, like, there's a bug.
As someone who has no awards, I absolutely would love to win a Grammy. And it has been my dream since I was, like, a kid. But should I reevaluate where my dreams lie as an artist, or what my goals should be going forward as an artist, because of the values and the lack of care? Or are the Grammys still going to be worth it in 10 years? Or they claim it's music's biggest night, but with so many new award shows popping up regularly and so many different awards that can be won by artists, does it matter which ones you win? Because at the end of the day, they're all awards. You're being celebrated for your work, and does it really matter if it's a Grammy or an iHeart? Does it matter if it's a People's Choice Award or a VMA?
I mean, VMAs mostly work on music videos, so I guess those are a little different, but, like,
does it really matter? And with with internet culture making it so widely available to see, like, oh, this artist isn't performing, this artist isn't going, I'm not going to watch because my stan artist isn't going, or my stan artist is nominated for 3 awards, so I'm going to watch. Like, with that being so readily available, how do the Grammys make sure they remain relevant without, how do the Grammys not, like, lose their essence but still keep going with the times? You know what I mean? Like, they need to focus on the art, they need to focus on the music.
because Ariana Grande tweeted,
What about label plans? Again, I bring this up almost every time I talk about music stuff, but are they, like,
there's a word I want to use and I keep forgetting it. It starts with a C.
are they not focusing on what they should be focusing on because because labels are paying them to put them up? Interesting. You know what I mean? It's all very interesting. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this made sense. I kind of was blabbing. I had a whole bunch of ideas about what I wanted to talk about and how I wanted to go about it, and I just kind of or vomited everywhere. I think that's kind of becoming a common theme of my videos recently. They've been more or less just me word vomiting and hoping it makes sense, hoping I can pull something together. But yeah, let me know what you think about the Grammys. Let me know if you think that award shows, if they should keep their kind of elitist gatekeeping feel where they should be, it should only be Recording Academy members, or if Recording Academy should be easier to be a part of, or if they should go to fan voting, or if you think the Grammys will even be around in 5 years.
At this point. I'm sure they will. I don't want to say they're going to completely be gone.
Or like what the value of a Grammy is, or, you know, just like comment your opinions in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up, or if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you subscribed. Trying to make videos at least once a month on both this channel and my cover channel. I'm a singer-songwriter. I have an album out. It's called Puppeteer. It's been out since May. I have my debut single Nowhere came out almost a year ago, and it's made me very happy. So go check that out in the link tree below. Thank you so much to my top Patreons. They'll be over whichever way, one of these ways. Names will be over there, of my top Patreons. And yeah, don't forget to consider that. And all of that will be in the description box. I will see you next time. Bye.